In this video, I'm going to show you how to use some basic qualitative research software that is now available for the iPad. So for those of you who are using iPads and use them in your fieldwork because of its wonderful convenience, you'll be really glad to know that there's some stuff out there. Now, the one I'm going to show you today is Atlas.ti. There is also Max QDA has a qualitative research software app that goes for the iPad, but I want to show you Atlas.ti. When you open it up, you'll start with a project screen, and here you can add new projects. So if you're working on particular projects that might be different from one another, you might start some here. So if I wanted to add a project here about, teacher dissatisfaction, it would start a new project here, and we could add some documents, that kind of stuff. But we won't do that now. What I'll do is I'll have you look at this one now. So this is one I started earlier, and this one I'll call Gender Among Siblings. And so shamelessly, I'm going to show you some pictures and videos of my kids, but just as a sort of example kind of project. So you'll see once you're into the project screen that you can start having documents added in here, and now these documents are going to be particular pieces of data that you can then go through and do some coding and analysis on. So I'm going to add a new document, and we can take videos that have been put into the iPad's library, and I'll look for some. So we'll just take something like, here's some kids playing in the snow, so we can name that Snow Interactions, and click or tap on Add it to the project, and you'll see that it goes into the document screen. But then you can open up, and there's a nice little video player that comes in here, and it's got a scrubber, sort of like for a video editing software package that you can just sort of move with your finger. But you'll also notice that it goes down the side as well. Now, in regular Atlas.ti for the desktop, a lot of the coding will happen down the side margin, and so it's the same kind of thing here, that it tracks with the actual audio that you can see here, and you can code those pieces of audio. So I'll just find a spot, and if I want to add a quotation, we'll do it there. It's got a standard sort of 5 seconds, I think it is, where it will put in for a code. You can increase that amount of time or decrease that amount of time, as the case may be, for that particular quotation. So if you want all of a certain passage, and if we double click on it or double tap on it, we can both put in comments and we can add codes. Now, for a comment, we could just say something like this portion talks about joy in playing together. And then we could also put in a code. Now, codes and comments are going to be very separate. So comments can be just sort of any almost memo-like comment that you want to make about a piece of data, or about a quotation, I should say, because it really is tied to that individual quotation. But we can also create a code, and we might call this code joy, and that'll be done. And you'll see that it's added that quotation. There's one quotation under the word joy, and there's one then code in our coding list for this particular project. So we could then come down here, and we might want to scrub and add another quotation, and this one might be a different code. We could create a new code, or we could recode it as another instance of joy, but we'll create a code something like I don't know, distraction. My kids are often distracted, and then I'll tap done, and now we have two codes in our code list and one quotation each. So that's a really easy kind of way of doing the coding. Now let's go back and we'll take a look at this video. Now if we wanted to take a look at this particular video, I'll add a quotation here. I'm going to stretch it out because we'll double tap on that, and this might be another one where it's distraction. It's those same codes that we used from the last video, but now we've got two quotations for distraction. So it's pretty easy just like that. Some other things that you can do, and you'll notice now that also there's two documents. In those documents there's 4 quotations, so we put 2 in each of those. There's 2 codes, and we have no memos yet, but I'll talk a little bit about memos in just a second. Other documents we can add, we can put in a new text document. That'd be helpful for transcription. We can record audio right from the iPad and bring it right into the Atlas.ti project. So if you're going out and doing an interview, you can just take it all right here on the iPad, and if you're going to do the transcription and coding right into the audio, you can do it all right within this one application. We can also take photos with the camera if we wanted to. We could also take video. You'll note that I used the video recorder to record one of these videos right from the iPad. We can also pull from the library, so if it's something that you've taken, say with your iPhone, and it's in your photo stream, you can just take it right from the library and do the analysis of that. You can also import documents from the Dropbox, so if you have some transcripts that you've been working on, you can upload those to Dropbox, then take them from Dropbox right here into Atlas.ti, or you can add documents from other apps. So if you've been transcribing in a different application and want to move it into Atlas.ti, you can do that. So let's take a photo from the library. I'll get another one from my kids. I'm going to name this one Formal Clothes. Add it to the project. You'll see it shows up there, and then it's going to open this. Now with photos, what you do is you select various pieces of the photo. So we can click there and drag, and you can see it puts that box there, and that becomes a sort of a quotation within there. We can link a code, and we can create a new code and call it collar, and it's created both a code and a quotation. You can also add in the comments and all those kinds of things. So that's how we would work with photos there. Now memos you can put in by tapping on memos. You'd add a memo. You can give a name to the memo, like joy and gender, and then we can just type in whatever our memo is going to be. And there's some things that we can change about it, things like font size. And close that there, and you'll see that the memo has been added to it, and there's a running count, again, just like with the other parts. Now, when we move to analysis, there's not a whole lot that you can actually do with Atlas.ti on the iPad in terms of really sophisticated analysis. But in terms of a very basic analysis, I think there's a lot of things that you can actually do with it, and it is pretty powerful for being a mobile application. And basically when you type in quotations, you can see all of the various quotations that you have picked out within all of the various forms of media. It could also be things like, transcripts. You'd have lots of quotations, PDF documents, those kinds of things. You can also bring up a list of the codes, and so there are 3 codes in there, and if we wanted to look for all the codes where distraction has been coded, you'll note there are 2 quotations under distraction. So if you wanted to go straight to those and look at all of the places where you coded for distraction, you just tap on it and it'll take you right to that point in that piece of media so you can review it again and those kinds of things. So there's some pretty powerful things that it can do in terms of helping you catalog and then search and find lots of the pieces of data that are coded in a particular way. Now, as I said, if you want to do some more sophisticated things with your data, like doing some of the network analyses and that kinds of thing, you can export this to Atlas.ti in version 7. So you would just tap Export Projects, and you can do it in two different ways. You can send it to Dropbox if you have a Dropbox account, or you can send it to the Documents directory, which means you'd have to hook your iPad up to your computer, download what's on the iPad to the computer, and then the computer you could work on the project from Atlas.ti. It's also important to note that you can't actually work the other way, so if you do some changes in the Atlas.ti project on the desktop, you can't then bring it back to the mobile application. But there's, as I say, if you're on the move and you're just getting started on a particular project, or if a particular project has only very simple needs in terms of analysis, like a very basic thematic analysis, this is a really powerful piece of software. It can do all of the things that you would need it to do. So I hope you'll download it. One of the things that you'll like about it is that it is free. So just look for Atlas.ti in the App Store, download it, give it a try, and hope you enjoy it.